Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Well, it's back to the Alec Baldwin Rust set shooting situation, and it's more lawsuits and blame game. I have an article here from Bounding into Comics. Rust Armor. Hannah Gutierrez Reed files lawsuit against ammo supplier and blames Alec Baldwin for killing of Helena Hutchins. Sorry if I sound nasally, folks. I am still congested. I actually got another cold. So yeah, let's get into this. This is from Josh Berger. Shout out to him. Armor Hannah Gutierrez Reed has filed a lawsuit against Seth Kenny and PDQ Arm and Prop LLC that claims that disgraced actor Alec Baldwin ignored a request to attend a cross-draw session prior to the tragic incident on the film's set, which ended the life of Helena Hutchins and injured film director Joel Souza. According to the 24-page lawsuit on Wednesday by the film's Armor, Gutierrez Reed alleges that the arms company violated New Mexico's Unfair Trade Practices Act, created a dangerous condition, used false and deceptive product labels, as well as false and material misrepresentations, and breached their contract. Yikes. Excuse me. She is demanding a trial by jury for compensatory, punitive, and treble damages, as well as costs and expenses of the case. While the lawsuit is aimed at Kenny and the PDQ Arm and Prop LLC, it provides Gutierrez Reed's accounts of the events leading up to and following the death of Helena Hutchins. Specifically, it confirms reports that there were multiple negligent discharges on the set before the killing of Helena Hutchins. The suit states on October 16, 5 days prior to the tragic shooting on the Rust set, Sarah had an accidental negligent discharge of a weapon on set, firing a blank round at her foot. Within 15 to 20 minutes of that accidental discharge, Baldwin's stunt double accidentally negligently discharged a round from his weapon inside a cabin on set nearby, as confirmed and reported by the LA Times on November 20th. Wow. Okay. According to the lawsuit, Sarah Zachary, who has hired, or who was, I'm guessing they meant was hired, as prop manager, and she was responsible for obtaining and maintaining all movie props for Rust. Along with Zachary, the suit details that production also hired Sarah's future sister-in-law, Nicole Montoya, as props assistant. I'm hoping that these people actually have experience in what they're supposed to be doing. That's one of the more dangerous parts of being on set or of production. Or if you don't know what you're doing in this area, people can get hurt. Following this negligent discharge by Zachary, Gutierrez Reed claims that she had confronted her colleague about the mishap, leading to an exchange with bullet and prop supplier Seth Kenny. In response to Reed's concern about the aforementioned misfires, the filing references a text message sent by Kenny that read, "Accidental discharges are accidents. We learn and move on. And don't forget, she's your boss. Don't push it." On the day of Hutchins' killing, the lawsuit asserts at approximately 10 a.m., Hannah, Sarah, and Nicole loaded Alec Baldwin's gun and 2 other guns for use in scenes that day with dummy rounds from the full dummy round box found that morning in the prop truck. However, it also notes Gutierrez Reed arrived to the film set on the morning of the fatal shooting, only to realize that colleague Sarah Zachary was already in the trailer retrieving firearms. As described in the legal filing, the armor discovered a box of full of dummy rounds, 45 LC, that someone had placed on top of the equipment bag, which led Gutierrez Reed to believe it came from Kenny. For Alec Baldwin's gun, Hannah loaded 4 dummy rounds with holes in them from her pants pocket, a 5th dummy round from the box with a hole in it, and attempted to load a 6th dummy round with a hole in it from the box, but it would not go into the chamber, and she thought the chamber might need to be cleaned. Hannah remembers shaking the 6th round to ensure herself that it was a dummy round, the document further claimed. True, if it is a dummy round, it's usually a solid piece. It has no powder in it. Baldwin was handed the gun from 10 a.m. through 12:30 p.m., claims the lawsuit filed against the ammo dealer specifying that the gun was later stored until 1:30 p.m. until after the crew's lunch break. Following the lunch break, the guns were pulled out of a safe where they had been placed and put on a cart. The lawsuit does detail that the guns were left unattended for 5 minutes. It states, Hannah had to step away for a brief period and asked Sarah and Nicole to watch the guns. When she came back, she noticed that the two had wandered some feet away and the guns were unattended for perhaps 5 minutes. However, upon returning, Hannah cleaned the one chamber and took another bullet from the box labeled dummy rounds, sorry folks, and placed it in the chamber of the gun. To the best of Hannah's knowledge, the gun was now loaded with 6 dummy rounds. Indeed, defendants, as suppliers of prop ammunition to the Rush set, sold, distributed, and advertised its props as dummy ammunition and not live rounds. The filing stated. It continued, Hannah relied upon and trusted the defendants who would only supply dummy prop ammunition or blanks, and no live rounds were ever to be on set. Well, that does go to the common sense that live rounds don't belong on set. But still, live rounds were on set. So, yeah. Later, the suit details the gun was needed for a scene inside a church. Hannah brought the gun to the AD at Hall's inside the church. Hannah spun the cylinder for Halls, showed him the 6 loaded dummy rounds. Baldwin was not inside the church. Halls then took custody of the weapon and was inside the church, sitting in a pew. There were multiple people inside the church, states the lawsuit. Gutierrez Reed then faults Rust Assistant Director David Halls for not following protocol. She claims that Halls did not call her to inspect the gun before handing it to Alec Baldwin. The suit claims Hannah told Halls to let her know if Baldwin had come back so that she could come back inside the church and re-inspect the weapon and provide it to Baldwin herself, as she has done every time before on set. Her point was that if plans were to change for the use of the gun to be more than just sitting in status, Hannah needed to be called back into the church. So, the way that this is basically describing it is Hannah did not violate any safety protocols. She actually followed them to the letter and whatnot. So, yeah, this is basically her side of the story being told. We don't know the rest of the sides yet in this specific happening. Knowing that no gun scene was going on in the time according to David Halls, and the awareness of COVID protocols and social distancing, Hannah then walked outside the church to prepare her fanny pack for scenes that afternoon and to do some of her prop duties, the claim elaborated. The lawsuit added, production was behind that day, and Hannah was acutely aware of the need to attend to her prop duties as well. For scenes that afternoon, thereafter, Hannah did not see the weapon, nor did she have custody of it for approximately 15 minutes. It goes on to note, sometime in that approximate 15-minute period, David Halls gave the firearm to Alec Baldwin, calling out "cold gun," which signified the firearm was empty or contained only inert dummy ammunition. Hannah was not inside the church and out of earshot and did not hear this called out by Halls. So she's now trying to place herself away from the situation so she can claim ignorance. The suit specifically faults Halls. No one from production, including Halls, told Hannah that Baldwin was back and that he was going to rehearse a gun scene inside the church. Because apparently, as they were saying, the church, or inside the church, there was no gun or need for a gun scene to be done. It didn't call for it. It was protocol for Halls to tell Hannah when first team, in quotes, including Baldwin, was back on scene to film. This was not a scheduled rehearsal, and neither Halls nor anyone else called out a rehearsal, the suit adds. She is covering all of her bases in this, folks. It also places blame on Baldwin, noting that he did not attend a request to attend a cross-draw training session on October 15th, in that he should not have been aiming the firearm at Hutchins. Had Hannah been called back in, she would have re-inspected the weapon and every round again and instructed Baldwin on safe gun practices with the cross-draw, as was her standard practice on set under circumstances where, 1, Baldwin did not respond to Hannah's request on October 15th to schedule the cross-draw training, and 2, the gun had been out of her possession for 15 minutes. So yes, she is basically trying to paint herself as she learned from her previous mishap on the previous production, in which she loaded a gun on the ground, got in a lot of trouble for it after she handed the gun to an 11-year-old actress. So what this is all basically detailing is that she followed every single safety standard protocol that was there, or that she was aware of. The suit continued. Hannah would never have let Baldwin point the weapon at Helena as part of the standard safe gun practices. Apparently, no one inside the church stopped Baldwin from doing so, including A.D. Halls. Yikes. In his now infamous interview with ABC News, George Stephanopoulos, Baldwin explained that he was practicing his cross-draw when the gun went off without him allegedly pulling the trigger, killing Hutchins and injuring Souza. Well, we all know that he lied his ass off in that interview. The weapon he was using is a single-action revolver, meaning each thing you do is required in order for the weapon to be functional to fire, meaning you have to pull the hammer back in order for it to fire. Yeah. He went on. Then I said to her, "Oh, wait. It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled." "Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger." "You're a liar, Alec. That gun does not go off without the hammer being pulled back and the trigger being pulled." "Sorry, you're a lying sack of shit." This was completely incidental shot, or a completely incidental shot, an angle that might not have ended up in the film at all, but we kept doing this. I'm not going to continue as to what he said. It just continues going on. So yeah, Hannah Gutierrez Reed is basically filing a lawsuit against Alec over the killing of Helena Hutchins on set of Rust, and also filing a suit against the Rust Armory, or the prop people who provided them with the bullets or the rounds. So, she's basically saying that Alec is responsible because he was negligent. I was not negligent in any way, and they should have gotten my attention when he was back, and they didn't. I am not at fault here. She is doing her best, covering all of her bases, and she's doing it very well, to try to take off any blame for her in the situation. So, yeah. That's going to be the video, folks. What do you all think? I'm sorry again for my slip-ups and nasally voice. I am sick. I'm actually going to be taking a break for a while from making videos so that I can actually try to feel better. Anyway, folks, I did want to get this video out. I want to stay up to date on this situation. So, yeah. Anyway, let me know what you all think. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think of this situation? Anyway, folks, this has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.